What is up, my Beater Bros? Maine-iac here with another week of NFL Power Rankings. We got week 4 on us, the first bye week of the year for some teams. Now, it was a very interesting week with some not so much big surprises, some decent surprises, and some good performances. I'll try to go over the teams that really impressed me the most. I'm going to go 1 through 32 this week, and there's a decent amount of movement, but near the top there's not so much movement because most of the teams at the top won. We start off with number 1, the New England Patriots, who were number 1 last week in my power rankings and who defense has still yet to allow a touchdown, even against the Jets. And it wasn't so much so that the Jets didn't score a touchdown. The Jets are awful. I'm well aware of that. But the Patriots allowed the fewest yards of offense in a game, I think, in Bill Belichick's 20-year tenure. Either the least or one of the least amount of yards. I think it was like 107 total for the game. And against a Le'Veon Bell at running back, that's not really that easy to do. And I gotta respect the wide receivers of the Jets. They got some talent, but Luke Falk played like shit. The Patriots defense is amazing, or it has been playing amazing, I should say. They play against Buffalo this week, I believe. But the real test here is the overall touchdown streak is over for the Patriots. They allowed 2 touchdowns, one being a Jarrett Stidham interception return for a touchdown by Jamal Adams. Like I fucking said before, I love Jamal Adams, and that's why I don't want him on the Patriots, is because that's what makes Jets games fun. Like when we play the Jets, is for them to actually have a good player, like Jamal. And a muff punt by Gunner, which could spell some bad news. I remember Cyrus Jones, a former, I believe, second-round pick, had some punt return issues, and he ended up getting cut after a couple years. So hopefully it doesn't happen to Gunner. The offense struggled. James Devlin's on IR. Marcus Cannon came back. Not much else to say to that, except for after this week, Ben Watson comes back at tight end, so that should be interesting to see how that transforms the offense. Yeah, Kansas City at number 2. Their defense played really well against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I think it warrants them definitely staying at number 2. Like I said before, these are 1A and 1B kind of. More so now than ever because 1C is now officially 3. The Rams did not play so well. KC's offense played incredible. Some of the throws Patrick Mahomes has made have been really, really good, but when I watch the Kansas City Chiefs games, I also notice somehow those wide receivers are always open. It's not often that they're extremely covered. So going up against a tough Ravens defense, also got to give them credit for that. And you get the Rams at number 3, who dropped to 3. Although they were 3 before, they were more 1C than a 3 to me. But Jared Goff played like shit against the Browns, got bailed out because Baker Mayfield played like shit against the Rams. That offensive line didn't play so well, but that defensive line of the Rams played very well against the Cleveland Browns, who don't have a good offensive line at all. Brandon Cooks struggled a little bit. Cooper Kupp really balled out, so that's a positive sign. Jared Goff needs to get his shit together. Jared Goff is not going to be able to keep winning if he keeps doing this. He's going to be like the Alex Smith of football. And I don't mean the Kansas City Chiefs Alex Smith who gets you to the playoffs. I mean the San Francisco 49ers Alex Smith, who you can play decent, but you'll be replaced. Pick it up, Goff. And you got Dallas at number 4. The only reason why I rank the Rams higher is because of their defense. Overall, I rank higher than the Cowboys' offense. Plus, against the Miami Dolphins, Dak Prescott did struggle a little bit, did throw an interception. They were only up 10-6 at halftime over the Miami Dolphins, and Miami actually made it a game. If it wasn't for a couple of miscues by Fitzpatrick and that defense, Miami might have pulled off the upset. Like before though, I think this was the only week that there was multiple 20-point spreads, and New York covered because of the 2 special teams touchdowns, and Dallas, I don't know if they ended up covering the spread against Miami. I have not looked at what the spread ended up as, but still, Dak struggled a little bit against a Miami defense, and Miami's defense isn't that good. That's concerning. But going into next week and next week after that, they got a couple interesting games, I should say, coming up. They're game 4, and game 5. It'll be interesting to see how they handle that, especially when they start facing the tougher teams in the league. Because honestly, with like the Patriots, their schedule hasn't been too tough, so it should be interesting. And then you have Green Bay at number 5, undefeated, winning against Denver. Didn't perform spectacular against Denver, but played really well. That defense played really well again against Joe Flacco, but Joe Flacco kind of lost the game a little bit, fumbling the ball, throwing interceptions when they didn't need to. Denver almost pulled up the upset, but I still put Green Bay at number 5 because at number 6 we had the Baltimore Ravens, who dropped one because they lost a tough game to the Kansas City Chiefs, and they didn't lose by much. It was a close game, and honestly, if Lamar Jackson played well in the first half, they might have won. If Houston at number 7 beating on the Chargers, who honestly probably aren't that good this year right now. And Houston played really well. Carlos Hyde is really stepping up as a new addition to the team. Kenny Stills played well. So really starting to fill out that wide receiver 3 role. That defense is starting to play a lot better. And you have Minnesota at number 8, moving up 2 spots with a good win this week over the Oakland Raiders. New Orleans at number 9, staying even right there with a good win over Seattle. The win was probably due to special teams and defense, because without those touchdowns, the score would have favored Seattle. And Seattle at number 10, dropping 2 spots with a tough loss to Teddy Bridgewater and the New Orleans Saints. Still a top 10 team, though. Chicago's number 11. They played well against the Redskins last night, but Mitch Trubisky still sucks, and I'm adamant that he sucks. The Redskins beat him up early in the game, and one of the only reasons why they won that one is because they were playing against Case Keenum. And you have Indy at number 12, moving up 3 spots with a really good win over Atlanta. Jacoby Brissett had one of his first 300-yard games in a long time, and I was really impressed by how well he threw, especially without a T.Y. Hilton in the second half of the game. Hopefully they all get healthy. Marlon Mack played well. That offensive line is still really, really good. And you have Buffalo at number 13, moving up 4 spots. A very interesting team to watch going up against New England this week. If they upset New England, Buffalo is on its way to a top 10 team. Definitely one of the better defenses in the league, and an offense that is almost chameleon-like. They were without Devin Singletary, but they still played really well behind Josh Allen and got the win over Cincinnati. And at number 14, we have San Francisco 49ers, who are currently undefeated, gaining 5 spots. One thing that's interesting about this team is I talk about consistency a lot, and consistency being important to me. San Francisco is not consistent whatsoever. They struggle with turnovers a lot. I think they had like 5 or 6 offensive turnovers in this game, and they somehow still won. If they can eliminate the turnovers, though, that should go to show you how extremely dangerous this team can be. I'm not going to say they're going to eliminate turnovers. That's why they're not top 10, even though they are 3-0. They haven't really faced a huge level of difficulty in their schedule. But still, I think they definitely warrant a top 15 spot, being that they are undefeated. Then you have the Chargers, who dropped 2 spots. Overall, I think this is still one of the most talented defenses and offenses in the league, one of the most well-rounded rosters. Keenan Allen is incredible, Rivers is incredible, Eckler and Jackson are pretty good at running back. That defense is really good. They just got outplayed by Houston, and Houston is a really damn good team too, who suffered a tough loss week 1, but then have come back to play hard the next 2 weeks. And you have Philly at number 16, rounding out the top half, dropping 4 spots with a loss to the Lions. Carson Wentz did not look good. Difference in this game ended up being that 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, and special teams are extremely important. Looking for more consistency from Philly. At number 17, we have Detroit gaining 4 spots. Now, that game was close enough, and I'm going to explain this real quick, to where instead of just leapfrogging Detroit over Philly and having Detroit gain 5 and Philly drop 5, I still feel wary about Detroit. Some of their wins have came by miracles. missed kicks, kickoff returns for touchdowns, stuff like that. They haven't really put up a really solid game overall throughout the roster, but they should still be good, and it should still be interesting to see. Definitely still undefeated technically because they are 2-0-1. And you have Atlanta dropping 4 spots with a tough loss to Indianapolis. Julio Jones played amazingly. There is now it's a GIF of, or whatever you pronounce it, of Julio Jones being wide open in the end zone and Matt Ryan just throwing it like 5 yards in the opposite direction, and it was absolutely hilarious. We had Carolina gaining 1 spot. Kyle Allen played very, very well. That defense played well. McCaffrey played well, and honestly, that team looked a lot better with Kyle Allen at quarterback than it has with Cam Newton for like the last year and a half. We got Tennessee at number 20, dropping 4 spots with a tough loss to Jacksonville. Another situation with them, I'm not putting Jacksonville quite ahead of them yet due to the overall roster issues. But still, Cleveland is barely in the top 20. And you have Cleveland at 21, dropping 3 spots with a tough loss to the Los Angeles Rams. Chubb played decent. Biggest concern for them would have to be at tight end, although their backup tight end played well. And Njoku is on, I believe he's either on IR or he's basically out for as long as he would be if you were on IR, out 6 to 8 weeks, I believe. Schobert on that defense has stepped up, but other than that, that offensive line is just fucking awful. They got Jacksonville gaining 2 spots at number 22. They're currently 1-2 with Minshew, Garner playing pretty well. So there's positives for Jacksonville. Oakland dropped 1 spot, being passed by Jacksonville to number 23. Will Oakland sign Crabtree, who was just recently released by Arizona? I don't know, but I do like what I see out of Josh Jacobs for Oakland, and Waller at tight end. You had Denver gaining 1 spot in a tough loss to Green Bay. Green Bay is one of the better defenses in the league, and Denver played really well. If they would have limited turnovers, they would have been even more competitive in that game. You have Giants gaining 2 spots at number 25. One reason why they don't gain more than this, although Daniel Jones had 4 total touchdowns, is the fact that Saquon Barkley is, I believe, out from 4 to 8 weeks with a severe ankle sprain. And I don't know if they can ride Gallman in the running game as much as they would need to complement that pass game. Although with Daniel Jones, you might not have much of an issue, but that was a 1-game sample against Tampa Bay, so I'm temping my expectations. And then you get Arizona at number 26 again. I picked Arizona, and again, they let me down. They lost to Kyle Allen, which is disappointing. But even more disappointing than that is Kyler Murray just couldn't put the win together. You have a team that has without their starting quarterback, and you can't put the win together. Although he did play better. Kyler Murray is playing better every week. He's being more consistent, which I like. That defense is a major issue. Pittsburgh at number 27. Rudolph played like shit. They dropped 4 spots, by the way. Minka played really well. Watt played really well. So that's a good sign for that defense. You got Washington at number 8. Played like dog shit against the Bears. Keenum played like dog shit. The only reason why they're not lower than 28 is because there's 4 teams that are even bigger turds. And one of them is Tampa Bay at number 29, who gained a spot. That's because, like I said before, bigger dog shit down below. Careful not to step in it. One thing interesting about this game is Mike Evans had nearly 200 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns, and they still lost. Their kicker made 4 field goals. 4 field goals. And they still lost. Like, yeah, he missed a kick at the end that cost them the game, but he made 4 already in that game. And then you have Shaq Barrett on the linebacker with 4 sacks, and you still lose. So you have a combined field goal kicker with 4 field goals, a wide receiver with 3 touchdowns, and a linebacker with 4 sacks. If you tell any team that's going to be your 3 stars of the game that week, because you figure out 3 touchdowns, 4 field goals, holy shit, we scored 30-something points, we probably won if we got 4 sacks and shit. No! When it mattered, Tampa Bay didn't step up. Jameis Winston couldn't step up. It was awful. The reason why they had to kick that field goal in was because Jameis Winston couldn't throw for shit at the end of the game. It was fucking Oh, and Mike Evans, he deserves a better quarterback. He does. He's an amazing wide receiver. They got the Jets at number 30. They should probably be lower than Cincinnati, but Cincinnati's so inconsistent, it's hard to tell. One reason why I do rank the Jets higher is because of their defense. Jamal Adams with a defensive touchdown, it looked really, really good. You have Cincinnati at 31. They are a hot mess right now. And then number 32, Miami. Although they are the worst team in the league, they did show a lot of promise against the Cowboys, and I think they could be on the turnaround. They could be definitely an upset candidate in the next couple weeks. Anyway, that is it. I'll see you guys next week. Enjoy your time. Peace.